Greetings, weary traveler, and what up, chat? My name's John F. Kennedy, and here's how to play Canball. Canball is a sport similar to baseball, played with less people, less space, less equipment, and arguably more fun. Instead of a baseball, a beer can is used for the game ball. Here is the basic can field. Instead of home plate and an umpire, the umpire is removed and home plate is replaced with home box. If the can goes in the home box, it is a strike. If it does not, it is a ball. Hits are determined by where the can lands. If the can lands anywhere here, it is a foul. And if the can lands within the white lines, it is fair. This is a single. And this is a double. Here are the bare necessities. There are 9 innings in Canball, 3 outs per inning for 3-on-3. You can also play 2 outs per inning for 2-on-2 if you want. It moves the game along a little bit quicker. 1 strike is an out. 3 fouls are also an out. You can't keep fouling off the 3rd foul the way you can in baseball. And 5 balls is a walk in Canball because sometimes the can is a little tricky to pitch. Obviously, you need several cans. Probably 3 or 4 should get you through a game. We are going to recommend 355 milliliter cans only. No king cans. King cans don't work very well for can. You can use a pop can for younger players, but we would recommend beer cans because they are heavier. They're just a little bit heavier than pop cans, and that makes a big difference. They don't tear apart as easily. Bats are kind of whatever you want to use at this point. There aren't really too many rules governing what you can and can't use for a bat. Just don't let go of it. I would say try to keep the bats relatively bat-shaped. If someone shows up with like a tennis racket or something, that's not cool. Now the box, you can kind of use whatever you want. Start with a cardboard box, whatever you have around, laundry hamper, whatever seems like a good size, milk crate. I would say when you're starting out, err on the side of maybe a bigger box, bigger and lower. To the ground, the opening lower to the ground. That'll make it easier on the pitcher. So maybe start with kind of like a pretty big box when you're starting out, and then as you get better at pitching, reduce the size to what we have here. So this is the official can box made out of sheet metal, and here are the measurements. So 17 inches across, 12 inches on each of these faces, and 13 inches high. We find that to be the perfect size for a can box, and that's what we use. All right, next we should talk about field size. Here's our field dimensions. With that said, use whatever you have. If you're, whatever size your backyard or your park is, just use that. If there's a nice, like a path or something going across your backyard and you want to use that for the line in between infield and outfield, just do that. If you have a super tall fence, maybe say, if it's halfway up the fence, or if it's higher than halfway up the fence, that's a home run. Just kind of change the rules of the game a little bit for the space that you have to work with. Here are our dimensions. So these are all in feet. So it's about like 40 feet from the home box to the fence. It's pretty hard to hit a can that much farther than that, so I wouldn't say make the field too much bigger. And if you don't have a fence, you could just kind of like lay out other lines for triple and home run. Something else that can be kind of fun is if there's, let's say, a window or a flag or something like that in the outfield, you could say it's 2 home runs if you hit it. If you're playing against a building and there's multiple roofs, the first roof could be a home run, the second roof could be a double, or if there's like a painted section of fence or something like that, that could be a double home run. Runners. There's no running in Canball. The hit is determined by how far the can goes. So if there's a man on first, no one is actually standing on first. You keep track of the runners in your head. We'll get into what runs score what else in a bit. So these are the things you need to know before you get started. Don't crush the can. The can is only crushed with the bat, and that's a really important part of the game. If you crush the can right away, you get this kind of thing that flies really, really fast, but you lose all the nuance of the game. When every change to the can is made by a previous hit, it really makes for interesting results. You can kind of get cans that are more or less easy to pitch or hit. They start to curve in really interesting ways. So yeah, definitely don't crush the can. Let that happen on its own. Now, someone is sooner or later going to accidentally crush the can. Sometimes if you're trying to catch it, you can end up falling on it instead, and it turns it into like a pancake when someone lands on it, and you can't really play with that. So the way that works is whatever team accidentally crushes the can, it's up to the other team whether or not they want to replace it with a fresh can. If there's not very much damage, they could keep using it, but if the can's really messed up and has changed a fair bit, they can request a new can. If you crush a can on purpose, you are penalized 1 run, and a fresh can is used. Okay, here's a big one. Do not hit the box. That will destroy the box and is ungentlemanly. So if you hit the box, you're out. Try not to hit the box with the bat. Here is the mustache. Let's pull up. So this line here, that's the mustache. You can't cross that. If the pitcher crosses it, it's an automatic single. If the batter crosses it, it's an automatic out. And if you're having a hard time hitting the can, perhaps a drink is in order. If you find that your defense or pitching, maybe look for some nicotine. Let's talk about how you get hits. If you hit the can into the infield, it is a single. So that's where the pitcher stands. Anywhere here is a single. And by lands in the infield, I mean the first part of the field it touches. It doesn't matter if it bounces single and then rolls into the double area. That doesn't matter. All that matters is where it first touches the grass. If you hit it past that line, it's a double. And if you hit the fence with the can, it's a triple. Over the fence is a home run. So, excuse me, all this is foul here. If the can goes, it has to go inside the white lines. The only thing that can change it after it hits the ground once is if it's caught on 1 bounce. As we said before, if you get 3 fouls, you're out, and that's if the can touches the bat but does not go into fair territory. 5 balls are a walk. Hit the box, you are out. I should talk about how runners work when you have people on base. So we play with a push rule. If there's a man on first and you hit a double, he's pushed to third base. If you have a man on second and you hit a double, he's pushed home. A triple would clear the bases. Obviously, a home run clears the bases. Walks do not advance the runner. So if you had runners on second and third and you hit a walk, then it would just be bases loaded. If you have a guy on first and there's a walk, then it would be first and second. Here's another little summary of how base running works.
Runners advance by getting pushed by the next hit. For example, a runner on third would score from a single. A runner on second could score from a double. And a runner on first could score from a triple. And a walk would advance the runner in front of him.
Again, the walk only advances the runner if it's a force. So if the guy's on second and you get a walk, it's just first and second. Let's talk about defense. A catch is an out. Catch is an out. If the can goes in the box, that's an out as well. Doesn't matter how it gets there. It can bounce off the ground. It can bounce off the batter. As long as the can lands in the box, he's out. If you swing and you miss, you are out. 1 swing and a miss, you're out. If you swing and miss and the can goes in the box, that's 2 outs. If you get that at the end of an inning, one of the outs will carry over to the next inning. So if you're playing 3 outs, you have 2 outs and you get a double out, one of those carries over to the next inning. One more point regarding fouls, and that's the slap. The hit is determined by where it lands. it doesn't matter if the defender touches it. So let's say there is a can and it's about to land single and the defender isn't able to catch it. He can just slap it foul and then it's a foul. If you hit it to the outfield and the defender slaps it back into the infield instead of a double, it's now a single. So even if the defender touches it, the only thing that determines the value of the hit is where the can actually lands. Just some general can advice. When you're batting, cans tend to rise. They'll kind of fly up and flutter, making for like an easy pop out. So you want to kind of aim for the top half of the can. If you do that, you usually won't pop out. The can will have forward spin, so it'll like curve towards the ground a little bit as it flies. And it's just kind of generally a good idea. And for pitching, pitching's a lot different than baseball. Kind of want to hold the can in your fingertips most of the time. So what I mean by that is kind of put, let's say, your thumb there and your fingers, around the other side of the rim. Generally, good pitching advice would be the more spin, the better. The spin helps it cut through the air and not lose velocity. So if you just let go of the can without too much spin, it really dies quickly, but it will move like a knuckleball. Little gusts of air will blow it left and right. The spin will help it get to there. So if you're having problems with distance, try to put more spin on the can. Underhand and overhand are both fine. There's lots of different ways to throw it, so this is just kind of general guidelines. You can get some really weird stuff if you put your thumb here and then your fingers around the side, but it's very hard to control. Twizzler pitches are kind of, you hold it like this and you basically snap your fingers. Really pay attention to the shape. If you're using a can and the first hit kind of does that to the side of it, it makes like a crescent shape in it. What's going to happen is next time you throw the can, whatever side you put this dent to, the can's going to move this way. So if you throw it straight, it's going to curve off to the side. This is where you get the cans that curve the most when they have that kind of, when they get one hit like that, they're lopsided and they want to pull to one side. So pay attention where the bat made impact. That's going to change the way it flies a lot. And certain can shapes will show up again and again. There's only so many ways to hit a can, so you end up with kind of similar shapes to the can. Pay attention to those. They'll usually fly the same way each time. So keep an eye out for that, and eventually you'll learn how to pitch these different shapes. The one bounce rule. We found out this is actually an old rule in baseball before they used gloves. You could catch it on one bounce and that was still an out. We have something kind of like that. It's a little bit different. What we have, hold on a sec. If a can is caught on one bounce, it is reduced in value. So if the can lands foul and you catch it on one bounce, it's now 2 fouls. If a can lands single, caught on one bounce, it is now a foul. Double, caught on a bounce, is a single. If it hits the fence and is caught on a bounce, that doesn't matter. It doesn't change the value. It is still a triple. All right, let's get into the good stuff. Split cans. Don't you wish you could hit the ball so hard it broke in half and they both counted? Well, now they do. So when a can breaks in half, they both count. It separates the top and bottom parts of the can. So these two sections are the only sections that count. If like a little piece from the side flies out, that doesn't mean anything. If they both go for singles, you get 2 singles. If they were to both land double, you would get 2 doubles. Whichever one lands first gets scored first. So if you hit a single and then a double, you would have men on second and third. And they both count for fouls as well. If they both go foul, that's 2 fouls. Now, if one can is foul and the other is single, they would cancel each other out. If you get a foul and a double, the double is reduced to a single. A foul and a triple would reduce it to a double. The only exception to this is if you hit a home run. If you hit a foul and a home run, the home run still counts, and then you add a foul onto the next at-bat. Can't take away a man's home run. And also, if you catch both halves of the can, that would be 2 outs. All All right, everything from here on out is very much optional. If you've played, a few games of Can already and you're looking for some new rules to add, here you go. We haven't talked about multi-hits or the trotter yet. Here's a bit of the YouTube video. This is a little complicated. I'll try to talk about it some more after it's done.
The trotter functions as an auxiliary offensive position, assisting the batter as his right can man. He can kick the game can for a hit as long as it makes bat-to-can contact during the play. In Canball, the batter can also kick the game can for a hit, but once again, the game can must contact the bat during the play. Because kick hits are both rare and exceedingly difficult, they deserve to be rewarded. Every touch, bat, foot, or body, multiplies the hit. For example, a kick followed by a hit counts as 2 touches, so a single becomes 2 singles, a double becomes 2 doubles, and so on. Same thing goes for thrice touched hits. In this case, 3 doubles. Go Dingerville. Thanks for watching.
All right, so the trotter is the guy in the on-deck circle. The reason we started doing this is to turn balls into live plays. So instead of the can just hitting the ground, if someone can kick it up to the batter and then the batter's able to hit it, that kind of makes things more exciting. The batter could also bunt it first, and then the trotter or batter could kick it for a hit. Every time you touch the can, it adds another hit. So if you kick it up to yourself and hit a single, it's 2 singles. If you kick it up to yourself and hit, a double or triple, whatever. And then each time it's kicked, so let's say it's a ball in the dirt, the trotter kicks it up, then the batter kicks it, then hits it. That would be 3 singles. Each additional touch adds another hit to wherever the can ends up landing. So, hat throwing. Hat throwing, I'm just going to read this. In an effort to defend fair territory, defensive players are able to use their hats as projectiles to deflect the game can into foul territory. So the same thing with slapping cans foul. You can also throw your hat and deflect it foul. This has only ever happened a few times. Defensive hat tosses are only permitted once the batter or box tender has made bat-to-can contact. So after the hit, you can throw the hat, not before that. Offensive hat throwing is permitted to frisbee their hats into fair and foul territory in an effort to block the defense from catching the game can. If you hit a pop-up, you can throw your hat towards the defender to try to knock the can away from them. Now, there's a bit of an addition to this rule. When the offensive team is throwing their hat, so that's the team that's at bat, if any part of the hat touches a defender, they're out. That's an extra out, mind you. So let's say a team pops up a can and they also throw a hat. The hat hits a defender in the leg, and then the can is also caught. That would be 2 outs. Also, if a defender manages to catch their hat, they get to keep the hat for the rest of the game, so the player can't use their hat anymore that game. Free throws. If there is a dispute about a call on the field, the can never lies, so we do a free throw. The batter walks away from the box. The pitcher tries to throw a strike. If he throws a strike, his team wins the argument. If he throws a ball, the batting team wins the argument. This is a solution to not having a referee. Pre-game can toss. You decide which team is home and which team is away with the pre-game can toss. Both pitchers stand on the pitcher's mound and they both throw the can at the same time. First person to get the can in the box gets to choose home or away. So if they want to bat first or second, after 5 missed can tosses, you rock, paper, scissors. Congrats, you made it to the end of the video. I thought it might be fun to watch a few plays and talk about the rules that happen in that play. So here we have what should have been a dinger, and it is slapped foul, as you can see up there. We have really old footage of a double kick catch. So it landed here, was kicked up on one bounce. It doesn't matter that it's a kick, just that it only touched the ground once, and then caught, so that is now a single. Landed double, reduced to a single. And these are mostly going to be Dingerville highlights because they are the better team. Here we have a slap foul, one bounce, caught on one bounce, so that's two fouls. And let's show a few examples of multi-hits. Here is one extra because of the bunt, double, two doubles. So this one's two singles. It went off his body, and that still counts. Another kick up single, two singles. And then we got one here that's two hits with the bat, and then knocked down from a dinger to a double, so that's two doubles. For our final example, we have 1, 2, 3 touches, so that's going to triple wherever that hit lands, and a slap foul. All right, well, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the can field.